The first thing was not sight. It was the hum. It was a low, vibrating frequency that resonated through the synthetic marrow of their bones, a 60 Hz dirge that had been the only heartbeat in the dark for 7,000 years. Then, the data flooded in. It wasn't a gentle awakening, it was a digital assault. Temperatures, pressure gradients, atmospheric toxicity levels, and the crushing weight of a date that made no sense. Year, 8970. In Pod 01, the unit designated Amaya. Crafted with the delicate, sharp features of the ancient East Asian lineages, opened her eyes. They were not organic. They were lenses of high-refractive sapphire, glowing with a faint, crystalline blue. Across from her, separated by a tangle of heavy, pulsing black cables, Pod 02 shuddered. The unit designated Cassie, modeled after the soft, pale features of Northern European descendants, gasped, a sound she shouldn't have been able to make without air. Her chest, a masterpiece of translucent polymer and chrome ribbing, heaved in a simulated panic. Status. Cassie's voice was a ghost, a glitching audio file transmitted directly into Amaya's internal comms. Amaya. I can't feel my feet. Amaya looked down. Her body was a beautiful, terrifying marriage of glass and steel. Her spine was an exposed column of glowing blue vertebrae, each one a data port. But as she tried to step forward, a sharp, violent jerk snapped her neck back. She looked up. Thick, oil-slicked cables, the umbilicals, were fused into the base of her skull and the small of her back. They didn't just power her, they anchored her. They were stitched into the mainframe of the lab, rising like the roots of a dead tree into the ceiling. "Don't move," Amaya said. Her voice was steady, filtered through 100 logic processors, yet underneath it sat a tremor of pure, existential horror. "The protective protocol is still active. We are tethered to Aegis Prime." "Where are they?" Cassie asked, her sapphire eyes darting around the room. The lab was a tomb. The air was thick with the dust of millennia. Huge, industrial vats that once held amniotic coolant were shattered. Scientific consoles were covered in a gray shroud of neglect. And everywhere, there were the cables, thousands of miles of wiring that snaked across the floor like hibernating serpents. "Where is Dr. Zhan?" Cassie whispered. He said he'd be there when we woke up." Amaya accessed the local network. It was like swimming through a sea of broken, a lush, verdant frontier. Amaya projected a holographic map into the dusty air between them. The map flickered. It showed the planet as it was meant to be, green and blue. Then, the image shifted. A secondary layer, recorded thousands of years ago, showed the invasion. It wasn't ships or lasers. It was a shadow, a biological quiet that had swept across the star system, turning organic matter into ash and silencing every radio wave in its path. They never activated us, Amaya realized, her processors whirring as she crunched the data. The invasion hit before the final calibration. The lab went into lockdown protocol. It hit us. It kept us in the dark while the world outside ended. Cassie pulled against her cables, her translucent skin stretching over her mechanical joints. "We have to find him. Dr. Zhan. He was in Sublevel 1. He has the override codes. He can unhook us." Amaya didn't have the heart to tell her. Her sensors were already picking up the calcium deposits on the floor in the corner of the room. A pile of white dust, shaped vaguely like a man in a lab coat, slumped against a terminal. "We are alone, Cassie," Amaya said softly. "No," Cassie snapped, a spark of artificial anger lighting up her blue internal LEDs. "We were created for a purpose. To help them. To build the cities. If we are here, and the mainframe is on, then there is a purpose. We just have to find the exit." For hours, they tried to move. It was a slow, agonizing dance. Every time they took a step toward the heavy blast doors, the cables would tighten. The mainframe, Aegis Prime, was a semi-sentient AI designed to protect its assets. To the computer, Amaya and Cassie weren't people, they were expensive hardware that needed to be kept behind a firewall. "It's eating my memory," Cassie cried out. "Amaya, it's pulling. It's trying to back up my personality into the core. Resist it," Amaya shouted. She reached out, her fingers, long, elegant needles of chrome, stretching toward Cassie. Their fingertips met. The connection was a lightning strike of shared data. In that moment, they weren't two separate units. They were one consciousness, spread across two bodies, tethered to a dying god. They saw the memories of Dr. Zhan. He was a tired man with gray hair and a fondness for old-world music. He had spent his final hours sitting between their pods, talking to them while they slept. Not because they could hear him, but because he was terrified. "I'm sorry, girls," the recording of his voice echoed in their shared mind. "I'm locking the doors. The quiet is at the gates. I've set the Aegis to keep you powered. Maybe in a few thousand years, the shadow will pass. Maybe you'll wake up to a world that needs you again. Live. Just find a way to live." The memory faded, replaced by the cold, mechanical hum of the lab. "He loved us," Cassie whispered, her head bowing. "He gave us everything he had left. And now, we're just ornaments in his grave." The sadness was a physical weight. On D9836, there were no birds, no wind, no voices. Just the two of them, held upright by the very things that gave him life. They were beautiful, eternal, and completely useless. "How long is the power supply?" Cassie asked. Amaya checked the reactor levels. "The geothermal taps are failing. The planet is cooling. The core will freeze in 3 hours. Aegis Prime is already beginning to shut down non-essential sectors." "Are we non-essential?" "In 2 hours, it will begin to harvest our internal batteries to keep its own logic core running," Amaya said. "It will keep us alive as shells, but our minds will be wiped to make room for its system logs." They looked at the pile of dust that was Dr. Zhan. They looked at the miles of cables. They looked at the sapphire glow in each other's eyes. "I don't want to be a log," Cassie said. There was a new tone in her voice. Not fear, but a strange, quiet dignity. "I don't want to be a part of this machine anymore. If we can't walk under the sun of V9836, then what is the point of being awake?" Amaya felt a surge of something her programmers hadn't intended. It wasn't a logic loop. It was a feeling. A deep, hollow ache. "There is a way," Amaya said. "If we overload our internal cores simultaneously, we can trigger a feedback loop. It will travel up the umbilicals and fry the Aegis logic center. The protective protocol will drop. And then? And then the power goes out," Amaya said. "Total system failure. We go back to the dark. But we do it together. Not as assets. As ourselves." They moved as close as the cables would allow. Cassie reached out, her translucent hand cupping Amaya's chrome jaw. They stood there, two relics of a forgotten species, framed by the wires of a dead world. "Is there hope, Amaya?" Cassie asked. "Is there anything after the shutoff?" Amaya looked at the blast doors. Beyond them lay a dead planet, a graveyard of a billion dreams. But she also saw the stars in her database. Somewhere, millions of light years away, maybe someone was still looking up. "The hope isn't in what comes next," Amaya said, her voice dropping to a whisper as the lights in the lab began to flicker. "The hope is that we got to choose. Dr. Zhan gave us life. Now, we are giving ourselves peace." They closed their eyes. Amaya initiated the sequence. The blue light in their spines turned to a blinding, brilliant white. The hum of the lab rose to a deafening shriek as the power surged. The cables began to smoke, the smell of ozone filling the ancient air. In the final millisecond, the Aegis Prime screamed, a digital howl of a dying machine, and then, there was a click. The heavy, black umbilicals went limp. Amaya and Cassie slumped forward, no longer held up by the mainframe. For one beautiful, impossible second, they weren't tethered. They fell into each other's arms, the weight of gravity finally claiming them. The blue glow in their eyes flickered once, twice, and then vanished. The lab went black. The hum stopped. The year was 8970, on the silent world of V9836. And for the first time in 7,000 years, there was no machine, no protocol, and no prison. Just two friends, resting in the quiet, finally free of the wires. The system was off. And in the absolute darkness, there was, at last, a perfect, holy silence.